Have you ever avoided saying something because you were afraid of what other people might think? Maybe you stayed quiet in a meeting. Maybe you hesitated before posting an opinion online. Maybe you worried about being judged by people you barely know. Fear of rejection can feel irrational. After all, rejection usually doesn't threaten your life. A stranger disagrees with you, a group ignores your message, someone doesn't invite you somewhere. Nothing truly dangerous happens. But your brain often reacts as if something much bigger is at stake. Your heart beats faster. Your stomach tightens. Your thoughts race. Why? Many people assume this fear comes from insecurity, low confidence, or modern social pressure. But the real answer is far stranger. The fear of rejection is one of the oldest survival systems your brain possesses. To understand why, imagine a world before cities, before money, before governments, and before written language. For most of human history, your ancestors lived in small groups. These groups were not optional. They were survival itself. Food was gathered together. Children were protected together. Danger was faced together. A single person alone in the wild faced enormous risks. Predators, starvation, exposure, injury. The group was protection against all of them. This created a powerful evolutionary pressure. Your ancestors needed to remain accepted by the people around them. Those who were consistently rejected, excluded, or abandoned often faced lower chances of survival. Over thousands of generations, natural selection rewarded brains that paid close attention to social acceptance. In other words, your brain learned that belonging mattered. A lot. But how could a brain ensure belonging? The answer was emotional pain. Physical pain teaches you to avoid harmful situations. Touch a fire. Feel pain. Avoid the fire. Social pain works in a surprisingly similar way. Experience rejection. Feel emotional distress. Avoid behaviors that could lead to exclusion. For years, scientists suspected that social pain might share biological mechanisms with physical pain. Then evidence began to appear. One influential researcher, Naomi Eisenberger, helped reveal something remarkable. Using brain imaging technology, researchers observed that social rejection activates some of the same neural regions involved in physical pain. In simple terms, your brain treats social exclusion as a genuine threat. Not because rejection kills you today, because for most of human history, it sometimes could. Think about that for a moment. The uncomfortable feeling after being ignored. The sting of criticism. The anxiety before speaking in front of others. These reactions are not random weaknesses. They are ancient warning systems. But the story becomes even stranger. Fear of rejection doesn't just influence social situations. It shapes personality. It shapes behavior. It even shapes life decisions. Psychologists have long studied a trait known as social sensitivity. Some people seem relatively unaffected by criticism. Others remember a single negative comment for years. Why would such variation exist? Evolutionary researchers suggest that different environments favor different strategies. Imagine two ancestors. One is highly sensitive to social signals. A small sign of disapproval immediately changes behavior. The other is more independent and less concerned about group opinions. Neither strategy is always better. In highly cooperative groups, sensitivity may help maintain strong social bonds. In rapidly changing environments, independence may encourage exploration and innovation. This idea appears in the work of researchers such as Daniel Nettle, who explored how different personality traits may persist because they offer advantages under different circumstances. Your brain is not trying to create happiness. It is trying to maximize survival. Sometimes those goals overlap. Sometimes they do not. This explains a strange modern contradiction. Many people know they should not care so much about other people's opinions. Yet they still do. Logic and evolution are not always operating on the same timeline. The modern world changed incredibly fast. Your biology did not. Social media provides a perfect example. Thousands of years ago, your ancestors cared about the opinions of perhaps a few dozen people. Today, your brain can receive approval or criticism from thousands of strangers in minutes. The technology is new. The emotional machinery is ancient. Your brain still interprets social feedback using systems designed for tribal life. A negative comment from a stranger can trigger emotional responses originally intended for survival inside a small community. This mismatch helps explain why online criticism often feels disproportionately powerful. Your brain does not fully distinguish between digital rejection and ancestral social exclusion. To ancient survival systems, both can feel important. But fear of rejection has another hidden purpose. It helps groups function. Imagine a society where nobody cared what anyone thought. Promises would matter less. Cooperation would weaken. Trust would become harder to maintain. The discomfort associated with rejection encourages behaviors that support social stability. It nudges people toward cooperation. It discourages actions that might damage relationships. In many situations, this system benefits both individuals and groups. The problem occurs when the system becomes overactive. Modern environments constantly expose your brain to evaluation, ratings, comments, followers, performance reviews, public opinions. Comparison never ends. Ancient brains were not designed for continuous social measurement. As a result, fear of rejection can become amplified beyond its original purpose. Your brain begins treating ordinary social situations as significant threats. A presentation feels dangerous. A difficult conversation feels dangerous. Expressing disagreement feels dangerous. Yet most of these situations carry little actual risk. The danger exists primarily inside ancient prediction systems that evolved under very different conditions. This raises an important question. Can you eliminate fear of rejection completely? Probably not. And that may not even be desirable. The goal is not to destroy the system. The goal is to understand it. When you recognize the evolutionary origins of social fear, something changes. The feeling remains, but its meaning becomes different. Instead of viewing anxiety as evidence that something is wrong, you can recognize it as evidence that an ancient survival mechanism has activated. Your brain is attempting to protect you, even if the threat no longer matches reality. Researchers such as Roy Baumeister have argued that the need to belong is one of the most fundamental human motivations. The desire for acceptance is not a flaw. It is part of being human. The challenge is learning when this ancient system is helping and when it is overreacting. Because many of the opportunities that improve life require risking rejection, starting a conversation, sharing an idea, applying for a job, creating something original, expressing an unpopular opinion. Every meaningful action carries some possibility of social disapproval. Your ancestors needed belonging to survive. You still need connection. But modern success often requires tolerating moments when acceptance is uncertain. The next time rejection feels overwhelming, remember what may actually be happening beneath the surface. A survival mechanism shaped over thousands of generations has detected a potential social threat. Your heart responds. Your emotions respond. Your attention responds. Not because you are weak, not because you are broken, but because your brain is performing a task it was designed to perform long before the modern world existed. The fear of rejection feels deeply personal, yet it is also deeply ancient. And every time you hesitate before speaking, worry about being judged, or wonder what other people think, you are experiencing the echoes of a survival system inherited from countless ancestors who depended on belonging to stay alive.